Hello everyone and welcome to our YouTube channel CareersTalk. Our channel aim is to provide hands-on practical and valuable information that can be utilized further by Scrum Masters. Friend, I am Suran Sharma, Agile consultant based in Netherlands and the host of this workshop on the topic how to create your own awesome retrospective. And to help us today, we have Chris Stone with us. Chris is also known as the continuous improvement coach and he has created hundreds of unique retrospective templates which are available for free. He's regular on the conference circuit. He's a podcaster, trainer, creator, blogger, and author. Let me take a breath. Okay, so Chris, it's a joy to have you on our channel. Welcome, Chris. The floor is yours. Chris, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I know we've been speaking about getting me on this show for years, so I appreciate your patience and I'm glad to be here. As mentioned, I'm a big believer in retrospectives and the power of continuous improvements. And that's what I hope to share with you today. One really quick thing I need to highlight is that I get very excited. And when I get excited about a topic that I'm passionate about, I speak quickly. And my ADHD brain means my mind goes at 100 miles an hour. So if I begin speaking too quickly, just come off mute and shout at me or say something. Don't let me keep talking too quickly. Let me know and I will adjust. Okay. Now, I want to teach you how to create awesome retrospectives. You can see on the screen some of the things that I am about, and Sunan's kindly shared some of those things: speaking, training, creating stuff, doing all the things. But that's not why you're here. You're not here to hear about me. You want to hear about retrospectives. One of the things from this visual on the right here, this manual of me that I would love to highlight is, for me, the key to agility is continuous improvement. And the key to continuous improvement for me is retrospectives. And the heart of retrospectives are individuals and interactions. And I make it my role, my aspiration to try and enable those individuals to have those interactions in a fun way. And you can see at the bottom of this visual here, I'm a firm believer in having fun in the workplace. We spend a third of our lives working and we owe it to ourselves to enjoy that. Think about the years and hours we spend at work. We should at least have fun in the process. So you'll see that through how I deliver this session today, hopefully. And if anyone joined a little bit earlier before we started, I was playing music. I was playing Queen, Shrek, Tetris, Game of Thrones, Friends. All of these things are popular culture from movies and television and video games and books. And we love to use those to escape reality. We spend billions of pounds and dollars and rupees on them every year because we enjoy that. And there's no reason you can't bring that enjoyment of things into how we work. So as for a bit of an agenda today, what the duck are we even doing here, folks? Well, I'm going to talk about why we should create new retros. We're going to explore a little bit about creativity, because you need creativity to build new retros. We're going to open the workshop a little bit and create some new ones together. And then I'll ensure to leave some time for Q&A. So you can grill me, ask me questions about retros. Now, I want to do a bit of a technique with you, a sound constellation. This will help me gauge where you currently are. So bringing you all to here, on my screen, I should be able to see your cursors moving. This is a sound constellation. Okay, so the closer your cursor is to the top of this stave, the top of this bar here, the more strongly you agree with the statement I'm about to say. The more strongly you disagree, your cursor should be at the bottom, right? So just move it up and down and demonstrate that you understand. So move the cursor up and down so we know top of the scale means strongly agree, bottom of the scale means strongly disagree. Good. Okay, so let's try it. First statement is, I've used a Chris Stone retro before. If you have, you should be strongly agreeing. If you haven't, you should be strongly disagreeing. Place your cursor on the scale accordingly so we can see where you are. Okay, so some of you have, some of you haven't. That's okay. Next one then. So I have made my own retro before. if you've built your own retrospective, you should be towards the top of the screen. I see someone's just changed my lines there. Should have locked those. Okay, and I'm hungover right now. Yeah. So I'm going to turn off those cursors now and talk about why we build retrospectives. I demonstrated a moment ago through music that they bring energy, they bring focus, they bring engagement. When I do the same talk in front of hundreds of people on stage at conferences, and I get them to guess the songs that they're hearing, the energy shift is dramatic. People start smiling, they're laughing. It brings nostalgia. It reminds you of good times, whether those good times were dancing in a nightclub or socializing with friends or just watching a great TV show. So retros that are themes bring engagement and focus, and that results in better outcomes. You can use retrospectives to celebrate microculture. You can see here, I've got a Netherlands-themed retrospective, but also I mentioned some Indian or non-Western culture retrospectives. This was the Diwali retrospective that I created a couple of years ago. I know Diwali was about a month ago now, and it explores, using some of the themes from Diwali, how the team can improve. So the lights, the diyas that are guiding our path, what are those for us? What acts as our Hanuman? Who's available to support us and help us achieve our goals? And what's the Lakshmi Puja? Where can we do to tidy our house or our backlog or our processes? So you can use themes like Diwali, like dog memes, like TV shows, like music as inspiration to help your team improve. And that celebrates their microculture, celebrates their passions. When we do that and we ask questions in different ways, rather than the standard start, stop, continue, and sad, mad, glad, which can be very repetitive, the consequence is fresh insights, new ideas, things that may not have been talked about if we didn't use these different themes. And please don't move those icons there. You're cheating. You're trying to get the data early. I can see you. Don't play with anything on the board just yet. Those ones are unlocked for a reason because I need to move them in a minute. But yeah, why build retros? Because work doesn't have to be boring, as I mentioned. You can use all sorts of themes to keep the workplace interesting, including retrospectives. Now, let's guess. What does the data say about retrospectives? I want to hear your guesses. Feel free to come off of mute or type in the chat. The first question is, what percentage of people believe retrospectives are fun? What percentage of people believe retrospectives are fun? Let me know in the chat or type. I can slow down, yes. 15% of people think retrospectives are fun. Okay. 30%. 90%. Ooh, 40%. All right. Let's find out. So fun. 57% of people believe retrospectives are, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. I've got the icons mixed up. Damn. So valuable. 57% of people believe retrospectives are valuable. And fun. 46% of people believe retrospectives are fun, whereas 6% believe they're boring. Okay. Now, frequency. How often do you think retrospectives are being run? Give me some numbers. Weekly, monthly, what do you think? Share in the chat. Once a sprint, okay. Bi-weekly? All right, let's look. So 76% of people are doing retrospectives every 2 weeks or less, with 18% every monthly, and 3% never do them at all. It's those 3% of people that I would love to have a chat with because they are so powerful. Okay, the best and the worst thing. Let's start with the best. What do you believe people think the best thing about a retrospective is? Share your thoughts again in the chat. Feedback, okay. Yeah, actually inspecting and adapting is the best thing. Let's find out. So the best thing is the conversations. 47% of people believe the conversations are the best part. The actions are 30%, sorry. The insights are 16%. Last one then. What do you think people believe is the worst thing about a retrospective? The thing that adds the least value, the worst thing. Type your thoughts in the chat. Okay. What do we got? What do we think? The blame game. Yeah, no actions or improvements. A waste of time. All right, let's find out. Just going to mute that new participant so I can hear some background noise. Hold on. Done. Okay, so the result is the sound of silence. So 73% of people, of over 1,000, believe that silence was the worst thing about a retrospective. When you ask a question and it goes deadly silent and no one says a word, that's uncomfortable. It's not something that people are okay with. Do you think silence is a bad thing, folks? What are your thoughts? Do you enjoy silence? Are you okay with it? No. The truth is, folks, I used to hate the sound of silence in retrospectives. Silence to me used to make me think lots of thoughts. Lots of thoughts began spinning in my mind. Have I asked the wrong question? Are they bored? Are they focused on something else? Am I doing this right? Should I break that silence? Should I say something? Should I say something else? Yes, I should say so. All these thoughts began spinning in my mind. I've since learned that silence is actually a powerful ally to you if you're facilitating retrospectives, or indeed any meeting, because everyone thinks differently. Some people, like me, we're talkers and we talk to think. That's how we process information. And other people, they need to pause and digest the question first and get their thoughts down before they respond. And that's okay. There are some really powerful quotes that I often refer to when it comes to silence. One was by Nancy Klein, and she says, how do I know that what I'm about to say is more valuable than what they are about to think? Quite powerful, right? Because if you say something, you might steer the direction of that conversation towards your own needs, and that could be less valuable than what someone was about to think themselves. There's a few techniques I use to get more comfortable with silence, or at least make silence more bearable for me as a facilitator. Number one is I count to 10 in my head. And by the time that 10 seconds has passed, often someone may have said something. The second thing I do is I answer 3 questions. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said now? Does this need to be said by me? And again, by the time I've answered those questions, someone usually has responded. So we've looked at some data. We've looked at some of the themes, and there are hundreds of them, by the way. Let me tell you a quick origin story. So bring your attention to here on the board. My first retrospective was the Queen retrospective. I can hear someone's come off mute. Hold on. If you aren't saying anything, please hold yourself off of mute. That would be really helpful. So my first retrospective was the Queen retrospective. When I was a Scrum Master several years ago, I was working with teams and I saw the consequence that the same formats was having. You know, if we were doing start, stop, continue, and sad, mad, glad, and a sailboat retrospective, and some of the other really common ones, I saw the impact it had on the teams. I saw them disconnecting. I saw the same things coming up over and over. So I thought, there's got to be something better than this, folks. And I began searching, and I searched on tastycupcakes.org, which is a website I used at the time. And I used that. I found an Elvis retrospective, and it was playing this Elvis songs, and I saw the energy change in that team. So I thought, this is cool. I want to do more. And I created the Queen retrospective. And I shared it, and I started getting stories from other people who had used it around the world, where it got quieter voices talking. It got people that never smiled in meetings sharing that they loved Queen. And the consequence was a more focused session, a stronger relationship with that team, and people began looking forward to retrospectives. And don't just take my word for it. I get messages like this from people all over the world, thousands of them sharing their experiences. This one on the left is from a friend of mine, John Roby. He said I'd helped revolutionize his retros, and he showed some data. So 103 small Kaizen improvements that help them be a little bit better. My friend, someone I trained called David Stelzer, shared when he was using the Star Wars retrospective with his team and the consequence of that. People using the Harry Potter one had it was fun, and that person received a lot of recognition. The Diwali retrospective was really well received. People were happy to see the creativity and the fact that someone had made an effort to focus on non-Westernized themes. So not only do I believe they work, but there's data, there's evidence from lots of people all over the world sharing the value it's brought them. They bring people joy. Okay, now, so I asked earlier, had anyone created a retrospective before? And a few of you said yes, but many said no. So my next question, we're going to do that sound constellation once more. Here's where you should be on the board. Use your cursor to indicate how strongly you agree again. The top of the scale is where you believe strongly with the statement. The bottom of the scale is strongly disagreement. First statement, creativity is something that you're born with. So if you believe creativity is something you're born with, your cursor should be towards the top. If you disagree, it should be towards the bottom. You are closer to the top than the bottom here. All right. Now, next one. I'm a creative person. If you believe you're creative, your cursor should be towards the top of the scale. If you don't believe you're creative, you should be... Okay. Next one then. You can learn to be creative. Do you believe you can learn to be creative? Can you get better at it? Okay. Some of you towards the middle on this one, a couple towards the top. Last one then, work should be fun. Do you believe work should be fun? Closer to the top of the scale if you agree, disagree is the bottom of the scale. Okay, well, let's find out how creative you are. We're going to do a little exercise. I'm going to demonstrate the power of creativity. So, a bit of theory first of all. There's a quote here by Picasso. He says, all children are artists. The problem is remaining one as we grow up. In the 60s, a study was done. They were testing potential NASA engineers and scientists on how creative, how innovative they were. What they did is they asked thousands of people, including 1,600 5-year-old children, how many different uses or purposes they could come up with for paper clips. So these little metal things you use to stack papers together, how many different uses they could come up with those paper clips. And at the age of 5, 98% of those children were considered geniuses, just purely by the volume of ideas they had. What they then did is they retested those children as they got older, at ages 10 and 15, and they also tested a group of adults. So my question is, how do you think the children compared to the adults? If 98% of them were geniuses at 5, how many percent of the adults were considered geniuses? And what percentages do you think changed for the ages 10 and 15? Share your thoughts in the chat. So lots of you furiously typing away. 10% only, okay, for the younger people. Adults, 20%. Okay, let's see the data then. So at 5 years old, 98% were geniuses. At 10 years old, 30%. At 15 years old, only 12%, and adults, just 2%. So I'm going to invite you for a moment. Just come off chat if you want to share aloud. What reasons do you think there are for people getting less creative as they get older? Or again, you can type inside the chats,
I think
however
Chris,
you prefer to share.
it's a fixed mindset. As we grow,
Yeah,
we stop thinking, we stop doing experiments. So whatever people taught us, we thought that this is only right, and we just follow that particular path. I think as we grow over the period of time, when we are
and so
kids, we are more creative. We don't have any boundaries, honestly.
absolutely. So when we're younger, we don't have knowledge that tells us that a chair is a chair. All right. So I'm sat on a chair right now, and right now I think of it as just a chair. But a child might look at that and think, "Oh, well, that's a chair. That's a toy I can spin around on. That's a part of a den or a fort I can build. I can put lots of blankets over that and make a cool place to hide in." Our experiences shape how we react to things. And if we've learned that a chair is a chair and a pen is a pen, we stop seeing it as something else. There's also school. So school starts to teach you that this is how you respond to things. And our experiences also. If we've perhaps grown to a certain age and we've gotten to school and you've started treating an object like something else, and someone then treats you negatively, they make fun of you, your experience may be shaped by that. So we have negative experiences which may alter the way we think. So our learning can change things. Okay, now we're going to do a very quick exercise. And in fact, we're not going to do it in groups because I don't think we have enough of you, but we're going to do it as one large group. This is going to demonstrate to you about creativity. In the first round, what we're going to do, in fact, I'm going to choose the object now. We're going to choose this wooden spoon here. That's our object. What we're going to do in the first round is come up with many alternative uses for that object as possible. So a wooden spoon typically used for cooking. I want you to suggest as many different ways that we can use that spoon for other things. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do it here. All right. So you're going to add on these Post-it notes here as many different things as you can think of for that wooden spoon. What I'm going to do, I'm going to copy and paste that spoon so that dominates the thing. So we know that's the only one we're focused on. So top left-hand corner there. That's what we're focusing on, as many different uses as you can think of for that spoon. Feel free to type inside these Miro Post-it notes. A double left click will allow you to type inside them. Go for it. And the link to the Miro board for anyone who joined a little bit late should be in the chat, by the way. And we're going to have just 2 minutes to do this. As many different uses as you can think of. In this round, don't focus on judging the idea, just as many as you can think of. All right, so we've got serving, we've got digging, we've got an instrument, a musical instrument. You can tap it against a surface and make some percussive noise. You could use it to hit someone, yeah, as a weapon. Don't mess, whoever typed that one, don't mess with that person. They will get you with a wooden spoon. A head massager, there we go. We could use it to plant trees or plants or crops. Measuring, yeah, you could, if you know the length of it, you could use it to measure how long something is. Any other thoughts? What else could we do with this object? A mold to make something. Play the drums, yeah. Make chocolate. Beautiful. To play games with. There we go. Right, we're going to pause there. Okay, so that was round one. In round one, we're just focusing on volume of ideas, looking for quantity. Okay. What we're going to do next is round 2. And in this round, I want you to adopt a psychopathic mindset and think of as many more uses as possible. So you're going to use this object now to harm people. And I'm going to set the timer again. Start adding more uses for that object. A psychopathic mindset. How could we use that wooden spoon to do harmful things? Yeah, as a weapon, you could pierce something, you could stab someone. I'm not, by the way, encouraging anyone to stab anyone with a wooden spoon, just demonstrating a technique here. To scare people, to torture. Yeah, you could use it to torture someone. To twist body parts. Yeah, another torturous thing. So you can hit someone in the eyes. Yeah. You could use it to damage property. Use it to break things. Right, finish off the ones you're typing, and then we're going to go on to the next round. To put in a car radio. Yeah, radiator. Why not? Okay, so stopping there. So technique 1 was suspending judgment, just as many ideas as possible. Technique 2 is an example of reverse brainstorming. Okay, so humans have what they call a negativity bias. It's easier to spot bad things than it is good things. It's easier to critique someone else than it is to see the positive things, especially in your own way of doing things. And it's called reverse brainstorming. And it's a technique I often use when I'm working with teams. How can we make this the worst team in the world? How could we make our customers hate our product? How could we reduce the morale in the team? How could we reduce psychological safety? What would the worst team in the world do to communicate with one another? And it's a bit of fun, and you get lots of ideas down, and then you work backwards and say, okay, how can we avoid that? What are the things that we can commit to avoid that? It's a great retrospective technique, but it's also great for creativity. So technique 3 now, I want you to adopt a childish, immature mindset. Imagine you're a child. What are all the different ways you could use this wooden spoon if you were a child? Back here on the board. Let's do this. Add some more examples of what we could do with a childish mindset. You could put it in your mouth. Yeah, you could wear it as a mustache or eyebrows. You just draw things in the sand. Scribble pictures. Any other uses? What else have we got? A childish mindset. Okay, finish up the ones you're doing, and then we're going to dive into the last variant on creativity. So that was a childish, immature mindset. As I mentioned earlier, our experiences often shape how we perceive things as we get older, but sometimes taking a no judgment, silly, childish mindset can help us unlock new thinking. The final round, what I want you to do is combine your wooden spoon with these 5 new objects and see how many new uses you can come up with. You might want to look at words that are associated with this object. You might want to think about how you could combine the two to make a new object. So your objects are here. On the left, you've got a wrench, a metal wrench, a shoe, a ball of string, some coloring pens, and a magnifying glass. how many new uses can you come up with for your wooden spoon if you were to combine it with those new objects? You can add new post-its, by the way. I'll get some more for you. They're over here. There we go. So a game with a spoon and a rubber ball. Spoon with a string to make a beautiful design, yeah? There's art that's been made purely out of string stretched across different patterns. A shoehorn, yeah, absolutely. If you're struggling to get your shoes on in the morning, then you can use your wooden spoon as a shoehorn. Okay, so I'm going to pause that there. That last example was the methods that many new innovations, new products are created today. Often innovation isn't creating something brand new. It's the combination of an existing concept in a new medium, in a new world, in a new industry. Think about what Apple did is they combined a lot of the technology from other areas into a small touchscreen phone. Like a modern mobile phone these days combines a camera with a mobile phone. And now how many people actually have cameras these days? So a lot of modern innovation comes from seeking innovation by combining existing methods, approaches, practices, objects, or existing ideas. And you can use that as a way of being creative also. So we got lots of ideas down. When I do this with other groups, often I make it a bit of a competition and see how many different ideas that one group can come up with against another. And sometimes there are some really funny ones that come up as well. I once did this, and there was a group all with women, and they joked that when it came to the second topic, which was take a psychopathic mindset, one of the women said, well, we're women. We started with that mindset from the beginning. And that just made me laugh. These techniques can be used to demonstrate that anyone can be creative. Right? You might look at these things and think, well, I would never have come up with that. I would never have thought about using it as an instrument or a weapon or as a head massager. And this further demonstrates the power of diversity. Every single one of you have experiences that I've never experienced before in my life. You will have worked with different people. You'll come from a different culture. And that is so powerful in creating innovation, because if everyone thinks the same, we'll have the same results. So we've demonstrated we can be creative. Let's actually practice quickly together now. Let's make a brand new retrospective together. So I've chosen a duck retrospective. All right, what the duck? What I'd like you to do is share your thoughts. You can either do it on the post-it notes on the Miro board, you can type in the chat, you can speak out loud. How could we use the theme of a duck to create some questions that might help a team identify how they can improve? What do you think? I've got some post-it. Oh, the post-it notes are frozen there, so let me get you some spare ones. There we go. How could we use ducks? Or if you're feeling it, we could create one on a completely different theme entirely. The idea is to demonstrate how easy it is to practice building a new retrospective together. Should be here on the board. Remember what we said about the previous round? There's no judgment of ideas. A good starting point is always just to get some thoughts down. This is why I was practicing that silent thing. Just going to change the way I share screen for a moment. A duck pond. Okay, so we've got a pond where ducks live. Okay. What other things do we have relating to ducks? I'll start typing some now. So you've got ducks, quacks, don't echo. That's randomly true. There's a phrase called water off a duck's back. What the duck is a question, like often replacing another thing. Ducklings follow their mothers. Yeah, DuckTales is a TV show. Ducklings in a row is a phrase that usually means we're aligned, we're in agreement. So we could use that exact one to create a prompt which asks the team, have we got our ducklings in a row? Question. How can we ensure we are more aligned? Yeah, so that's a common theme there. Duck Dynasty. I think that's a TV show, isn't it? Duck Dynasty. Ducky is a YouTuber. What the duck? So you could say, hey, what the duck happens? And that might become what happens, what went wrong on the last sprint. So we've got a couple of prompts already. Something like Duck Dynasty, teamwork and appreciation. How can we appreciate one another? Sorry. Ducks don't leave other ducklings. Yeah. So how are we demonstrating how much of a team we are? Or how can we be more like ducks and not leave each other behind? Get things finished. DuckTales, lessons learned. Yeah. What's the tail or the DuckTales of our team? So the ducks following each other, you could turn that into how can we ensure we don't leave each other behind or even work behind? How can we ensure we finish things rather than have to carry it over from sprint to sprint? So what you can see here is we've just taken a random theme, we've got some thoughts down about it, and we've started to carve out some questions. Okay. Now, what I was going to do in a group was get you to go into groups and build new retros together. I don't think we have time for that now. But what I want to do is allow us to choose a random prompt, a random theme, a random topic. And then from that topic, again, we're going to build a new retrospective together. Now, this topic can be anything, your choice. Why don't you suggest some potential topics in the chat and we can start from there. And what we're trying to achieve from this is an energizer, something to get us talking about the topic. We're looking at some imagery and some prompts to bring it to life. So we're looking for that here. But begin by typing your thoughts in the chat. What could we create? Movies. Sunan says movies. Any other thoughts? What else could we create a retro over? Web series. Any particular web series? A sport. Superheroes and villains. I believe a lot of people in India like cricket from those that I've spoken to. So there could be a cricket themed retrospective. Should we try that one? All right, let's give it a go. The cricket retrospective. So what are the themes relating to cricket? Let's start with that. Get your thoughts down onto this board, this area of the board here. Related to cricket, what could we potentially have that might help a team improve? And if you want to contribute by not adding thoughts and ideas, you can go onto Google and find some good images of cricket and put them here as well to make it more of a visual experience. A good old copy and paste works wonders. So someone's put batting. Yeah, batting. I think if I recall, there is a duck in cricket as well, right? Duck is when you get bowled out for 0. And that could become, hey, what bowled us out? Where did we score a duck? That could be a prompt right there. All you need is a picture of a duck and some bowling. We've got a dropped catch. So where did we drop the ball, maybe? You could turn that into a prompt. Where did we drop the ball? In the last sprint. So where do we not achieve what we were hoping to achieve? Strategy. And what cricket strategy can we use? What's the scoring system? You got like 1, 2, 4, 6. So 6 is great. Where did we score a 6 in the last sprint? Okay, the innings. How could we turn the innings into a prompt? Your first, second. Let's try and find some visuals, shall we? Okay, so actions and items. We've got some images of some great cricket players appearing. Get those up there. Extra time, power play. Yeah, so as you can see again, all we've taken is a theme that people enjoy. And if you do this with your teams and create it with them, the questions you get will be even more powerful, even more, they'll resonate more. So I'm conscious of time. We are coming to the end of the session, right? I would typically get you all to just navigate the room and look at some other retros, take inspiration from those, and even do practice improv where you add some ideas to someone else's, but we don't have time for that. I want to recap you and leave you with the opportunity to ask some questions. So when it comes to retrospectives, let's lock in those learnings. There's 3 things I'd love you to remember. One is that anyone can be creative. We saw in the creativity exercise, there are techniques you can use to be creative. Anyone can be with a bit of practice, okay? Don't force fun on your teams, right? The worst thing you can do is come up with a theme that people don't enjoy and they feel like it's forced upon them. I often approach the team and say, here is multiple options for you. Which one would you most enjoy doing? Sometimes it becomes something where everyone gets a turn and they rotate who chooses the theme. And even more powerful is when you build a retro with them. And as I mentioned, that last thing I want you to leave with is we spend so much of our time working. We owe it to ourselves to enjoy it, to have fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to ask me any questions you have about retrospectives. Hopefully this has allowed or shown you how you can build new retrospectives. I encourage you to go and build more, to share them with others, to trial them, to experiment with them, to see how they go with your teams. You can find lots more links about me and what I do here on the screen, and I'm happy to share those with Sanand and he can pass them on. But otherwise, yeah, ask away any questions you have.